My name is Andrea Trotter, and I have 3 girls. I'm ages 6, just turned 6 a few months ago. 3 will be 4 in September, and I'm 2 months old. Okay, wait, is that like such a problem? Is that loud?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We're good.
So this will be our 3rd year of CC, and Nicole wanted me to share my story, especially with starting CC when my oldest was so young. She had just turned 4. She was a very young 4-year-old. And I guess I'll premise this just by saying when we joined CC, I didn't know a thing about it. I was desperate for a homeschool community, and so we just plunged in like head first, really not knowing much about it, which was a mistake. I should have found out more about it, but it was a positive mistake, I guess, in those regards. But when we first started, it was extremely overwhelming. Even if you do know a lot about it, I still think it would probably be very overwhelming your first year. I think that's just normal. Even if your kid is older, I think it's still overwhelming. So that first year was tough because when they're 4, they don't have a lot of attention span and they don't pay attention. And so in Evie's class, she was definitely the youngest in her class, but then there would be like a kid who was probably 6 or about to be 6. And he might have had older siblings in the program already. So there were things he already knew, which intimidated me because my daughter didn't know those things. And but one of the tutors, her tutor at the time, kept saying to me, it's okay, she is getting some things, don't worry about it. And she's going to have this again. You have to remember she will have it again in another 2 years, which is true. So still at the time, I was just still overwhelmed and I wasn't sure about it, and so at the semester break, Nicole had asked if you don't think you're going to come back, to let her know, and she would try to talk you out of it for any reason. And so I emailed her and I was like, I just don't know that we're going to do this anymore, and so she, even though she said she wasn't going to try to talk you out of it, she did, and I was so thankful that she did, and she just helped explain the program more, and said she said herself that she would be just as discouraged if my oldest was this young, just because it's a lot, and it's a lot to take in for a 4-year-old, and they just don't have the attention span, but they will learn it, and the payoff does come later down the line, which is hard for us to see because our kids are still so young. But I will say that even watching some of the older kids, you can see that the payoff is there. Even in just their first year of CC, a lot of the 10 and 11-year-olds that I saw, I was always very impressed with. So we did decide to stay, and as with anything, you should really give, especially CC, I would say you always want to give it a full year. And I would even say try to do it, if you're still on the fence, to really give it another year, because having that first year under your belt made a huge difference. When we came back the next fall, I was so much more relaxed. I was so much more at ease. When Evie was in her first year, I was pregnant with my 3rd, and so admittedly, like, we hardly did any school. I didn't stay on top of CC much at all. So the 2nd year, I was much more determined to do so, and saw instant payoff from that. It was amazing in just what a year difference. Her maturity level had grown. She was much more engaging. She's a social kid anyway, so she just enjoyed being around the other kids. But what was so impressive is what she could pick up. So I love to share this story. It was recent. We finished school, I guess it was the first week of April, this past April. And we hadn't stayed on top of doing any school. So it had probably been a couple of months. I think it was around the first part of June, I guess. And I was watching a PBS special on TV. And Evie comes downstairs and she says, "Oh, Mommy, what are you watching?" And I said, "Oh, I'm watching a special about Pearl Harbor in World War II." And her face lit up and she got so excited and she ran and grabbed the iPad, because on our iPad we have the Memory Work app on there, which is, considering we don't have a CD player in our car, that's very good. So we use that a lot. And she went through until she could find, and she knew which one it was. She just had to hear it, and she knew which one it was, and she found her history sentence of, "In December 7th, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii." So that was like 8 weeks after school finished, and that song was, I think, even earlier in the program. And she remembered. So just those two, like just the phrase Pearl Harbor and World War II, she remembered. And so I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It was really exciting because I knew she could remember and she could retain, even though she didn't know anything else about it, she could remember that. So so all of that to say that really two things kept us. I will say main thing was the community. The community is um, fantastic, and that is one thing that really helped me to stay within the group. It's a fantastic community of families. You have so much support, and what was really encouraging is that a lot of us, almost all of us, especially my first year, it was a lot of their first year. And so you had moms, very seasoned moms who have homeschooled for 20 years, who were kind of doing this for the first time as well, but also just have a lot of homeschool experience for those of us mothers who are still very new at it. And so that's just encouraging. You're all in this together, and you're doing it together, and you are not alone at all. And that just has helped me and encouraged me greatly. So young moms with young kids, don't be discouraged. The bright side is you're starting them from the very beginning. And I've had a lot of moms say to me with older kids, oh, I wished we had known about CC when they were this age, because it probably would have been easier on their older kids had they had that. So stick with it. You won't be disappointed. Thank you.